Hello, lovely ladies. Wow, that's some crazy lighting. I just got back from the park playing with my kids and thought I'd come in to talk to you guys. Something that's been on my heart a lot lately is the idea of being able to receive joy and happiness when you're dealing with health issues. And so what can happen, and what I see happen a lot, is that when we become unhealthy, and I'm really big on not using the terms ill, sick, attaching labels, and just there's a mindset shift that happens there when we do that. Now, it's not discrediting the fact that you've maybe had diagnoses, but not wearing it either. And when we become ill, and I've been talking to a lot of clients about this week because it's been coming up for them, which means it is something universally that we need to talk about. And I've always opened up my mind to that. When I have clients going through suddenly the same type of things, then there's usually an abundant amount of women going through that same process at the same time. And so for the last 2 weeks, actually, the one thing that came up with a lot of my clients was the willingness to be able to still accept some joy or any happiness at all. And this is normal. This came up for me a lot, and it was really hard because we become ill. And to be honest, one of the things that can happen is we don't want people to think that we're faking it, because it's usually the invisible illnesses that I deal with. I usually take on clients that are very tough cases that they're people haven't been able to figure out or help women with. And usually the amazing part is that because of bringing in the mindset piece, bringing in the empathetic piece is what makes the difference. And that's not saying I'm the be-all and end-all or I have all the answers. There's a specific type of woman that I work really well with. But one of the things that we do is we shut the door to having joy or to having happiness. And the reason that we do that, there's many, but one of them is because we don't want the people that are around us, that are supporting us, to think that we weren't being serious, that we weren't being legitimate. And so we always have to have this on switch of negativity and fatigue and whatever the symptoms may be. And so when we do have a moment to be joyful or to be happy, it almost becomes difficult to accept that and even receive that, because it might be perceived as you being fine. And this is a huge mindset lock that women usually, it's not something that usually that comes with the territory. It's usually something that is built on as chronic illness develops, because the cases that I work with are not acute cases, because those are easy fixes. Acute is something that happens suddenly, or it's in medical terminology, the way that I used to teach it was 6 months, and that's a long time. But acute in the medical world was still anything under 6 month time. And so over 6 months was anything chronic. I'm working with clients, we're dealing with a couple decades of symptoms. And so we're talking chronic. We're talking been through the ringer, seen multiple specialists, and holistic and conventional, and there just seems to be something missing, and they're in search for it. They're looking for it. They are seekers of their own health. And those are the women that I love working with, because they also understand that there's a deepness that needs to be identified. And there's, if you're misdiagnosed, that's something entirely different. If you have a chronic symptom that isn't getting resolved, and you've worked with 10 or 20 different specialists in both the holistic or the conventional world, and you're not seeing results, there's a lot of phenomenal people in the field, both holistic and conventional. And they can only do within their limits of their knowledge and their experience and their intuition and work within their own limitations. That's what makes them who they are. And they all come to the table with unique regimes and protocols, and it's what makes them who they are in their practice or in their own work environment, whatever they may do. And so everybody has their own purpose and their ability to help people to a degree, and they help certain types of people. They may help thousands of people, but still not be able to help maybe the woman that's working with me now or the woman that's working with someone else. So it can be really, really discouraging. And that's another thing that makes it very difficult to suddenly start accepting joy into our lives. Or the acceptance is the really big one. And there has to be this awareness opened up, because the other thing that happens is when we are suddenly in front of joy, we get scared of accepting it because the feeling itself is scary in the thought that it could be gone within a momentary second. And that's overwhelming in the sense where a lot of women say, well, screw it, I'd rather stay miserable than be happy and then have to go back to feeling miserable again. So there's really this mind block around joy, being able to have joyful moments within your life while you're suffering, while you're healing, while you're on your journey, whatever that may be. And it's really something that needs to be looked at. And I think it's really deep. And it is one of those things that usually, no matter how much we're suffering, there's something to be joyful about at any given moment. And that is really hard for women to hear. And I know that if someone had said that to me when I was at my worst, I probably would have been really, really ticked off and said things like, you have no idea what I'm going through. You don't understand. And that leads me to my next point that has been coming up a lot, and this one actually comes up all the time, is wanting other people to fully understand and grasp where you are at with your health. And I want to make this really clear for those of you that follow me. This is a great deal of what I do with women, is gaining control of your own life and your own health and the decisions and the idea of stepping into your own and your soul purpose so that you can live out the abundance in this life that you were meant to have and are supposed to have. And a lot of the times it's very hard to stay within ourselves and to stay within what we desire and what we want in our life, and not take everyone else's opinions personally. And here's the thing, is that no one else will ever, me included, understand exactly what you are going through, because you are the only one that was created with your unique selves. And so as much as someone tries and has compassion and empathy, no one will truly understand what it is that's going on with you, mind, body, and soul. Only you are meant to have that experience. That's why it's being given to you specifically. And you will identify with that differently than maybe someone else going through the same thing. So as far as asking someone to identify with what you are going through, you can ask them to identify with it. But you cannot expect them to be able to intimately feel it. And it's really, really important, because when we are ill, when we're not feeling well, we want to turn to those closest to us and we want to lean on them, and we want them to, in a sense, and I know I went through this, save us and protect us and help us. And it's so important that we are able to still recognize that we are an adult, that we have the ability to care for our own needs, but it's still okay to ask for help when needed. that we can't expect our loved ones to have the answers. They are not equipped. And you guys have heard me say this over and over again if you've been following me. Your loved ones are not equipped to give you the answers and to act as that sounding board to what you should do, what could you do, what is going wrong. That's what having a medical team, a holistic team, a support team is for. And I went through this, and I've shared that story with you, where I became completely dependent on my husband, and that is okay. It's okay at a point, because that's what marriage is for, and to be able to lean on him. But I did that same thing, and I've said this to you guys so many times, is I wanted him to have all the answers. In the middle of the night, I would say, what's going on? What should I do? I don't understand what's going on with me. And those are like asking a husband if your jeans are too tight or if they look good on you. You are setting them up for failure, and it will harm your marriage. And in my experience, and I really, and this goes not just for your husband or wife or girlfriend. This leans on family members. This leans on mothers and children, and really allowing them the space to have the role in your life that they are supposed to have, and not asking them to step up into another role in your life. Because it puts this expectation on them that they don't know what to do with. And what it leads to is bitterness and resentment and anger and sadness that really, truly, in my opinion, and I went through all this, because as many times as my husband said he couldn't win, it was like, my pants look too, do I look fat in these jeans? If he would say, I don't think anything's wrong, trying to be supportive, I would tell him, well, he just doesn't understand. If he would say, yeah, I think something's really wrong, I would freak out and wonder, how could you say that? You're supposed to be supporting me. So you're putting them in this situation it's just, they can't win. So ladies, this is the importance of hiring a team. I don't care who it is, but if you are suffering, if you are going through symptoms and you're struggling, don't keep going to that loved one in your life and asking them to answer questions that they can't possibly provide answers to. And all it does is put an unnecessary pressure on the relationship, whether it's with a mother or a father or a kid or a husband or a best friend. We have to have that boundary on ourselves. And they need to be allowed, and this is so hard for ladies to hear, because we want those people to have all the answers for us. And it's really important for us to allow them to have boundaries as well. Really something to think about. And it's, one of the things that I've been saying a lot lately is I ask the hard questions. I really do. And that doesn't mean I don't play marriage counselor, I don't play psychologist, I don't play doctor, I don't pretend to be those things. And you've heard my reasonings around all of those different areas and why I chose to do what I am doing. But I ask really hard questions, and I ask the questions that people don't want to look at, because they know already that they are part of the problem at hand. And by problem, I mean block. Because you're not a problem. You're not a burden. You're going through some turmoil. But you're not a burden to anyone. And it's okay to set boundaries and to allow other people to set boundaries, and to know that you're going to be okay, and that there are always multiple doors open at any given time, and that you are in control of opening and shutting them. And part of the work that I do is giving women the support and the guidance in understanding that they are in control of opening and shutting those doors, that they are in a sense, in control of how much they are breaking those boundaries and breaking those blocks or setting those blocks up for themselves, that is in fact hindering their healing. Because what happens? I mean, I've done this firsthand. What happened when Anthony, my husband, said to me, you know, if I would say, well, is this ever going to go away? That's a big one. And we're just spewing words with those, right? We've all done it. Is this ever going to go away? And what happens if he says, I don't know? We get pissed off. Well, now you just don't understand. No, you have no idea what I'm going through. And anger, resentment comes up. What happens if he says, yes, of course it's going to go away. You're never going to have this forever. We're going to say the same thing. You don't know what I'm going through. How could you say that? I've been going through this hell forever. And that's the part that I challenge ladies, because my work is for the woman that I'm working for and with. It is not for their significant other. So it's to figure out what part of what is going on in the dynamic or the relationship with the child or the sibling can we look at and truly do something about and look at and try and improve upon, because my basis of my work is on positive in every single aspect of your life. Changing the wiring within your brain and the old habits, shifting your HPA axis and your nervous system so that your physical body and your organs can start to do what it was supposed to do in the first place, that it already knows how to do, and you're not allowing it the space to do it because you've set up all these unique blocks of your life that you want to be in control of, that are in fact, because your body gives it the finger, your thought that you think you control all these things, and does what it wants anyway when you block it that much. So this is really something that I truly feel needs to be looked at. I feel like we need to start looking at things in a more positive flow. How can we, improve on these areas of our life that are causing our stressors? How can we change our mindset? And maybe we're being triggered, and maybe it's food, maybe it's a supplement, maybe there's a bacteria we need to address, maybe there's a candida we need to address, maybe we've got some oxalates. But at the same time, working on, spending 90% of the day in misery, in your own misery, is not going to bring the most peaceful healing journey. So if you're on a healing journey, why are you choosing to make it a miserable one versus one with a positive swing to it? I'm not saying that a healing journey is in any way, shape, or form going to be an easy and always uphill climb, but understanding yourself, studying yourself, and understanding the connections that are very, very unique to you will allow your body to step into a zone that allows it this space to grow and to heal and to move, because we tend to go into paralyze around health chronically. And when we do that, we stop allowing oxygen to any areas of our body. We tell all the fight flights come on. Our body says, we're not okay, we're not okay, we're not okay. And no more oxygen is flowing through anywhere. And bacteria and candida, well, they thrive in an unoxygenated environment. So the second that you put shutdown on your body, those guys have a party. Then you come down from it and you feel like crap. You feel like you just got hit by a bus. Well, that usually is your then response to all the toxins that have been let go, released, and you're now having reactions to that. And so, no matter what, at the end of the day, I challenge women to look at their life and say, where do I want to be and where am I right now? And am I living the life that I wanted to be living? And why, if you're not, sickness aside, symptoms aside, or even throw them into the mix of this thought specifically, are you allowing certain things to stand in your way? whatever that may be, why are you allowing certain things to stand in your way of having things that bring you joy? Those don't need to be huge honkin' financial investments. If there are things that you could do throughout the day that bring you joy and you are not doing them, I challenge women to look at this. Has it become some sort of self-punishment? Has it become some sort of self-worth issue? Has it become some sort of fear around opening up those doors and fear of, well, if I try this, what if I get worse? Is there an unrelenting standard there? Is there a vulnerability to harm that comes up? And at what point will you be okay? Because if timing comes into that, well, it's just not the right time. If the excuses, those blocks start to come up, then I challenge you to go a step further and say, well, when will be the right time? When will I be okay to stand in my own authority? When will I be okay to seek my own abundance? When will I be okay? And try and figure out, okay, when would it be okay for me to feel happy? When would it be? So does that need to look like all my symptoms are gone? And why? Is my entire well-being and happiness based on the disappearance of every symptom I have, or one symptom that I have? And there's no wrong answers. This isn't a quiz to, everyone's going to answer this differently. Maybe the answer is yes for you. But it's digging deep into the you that only you know the answers to, of what are the answers to all these questions that are bubbling up within you, that are manifesting within you, that you've likely been ignoring for a long time, that you've been afraid of for a long time, and really looking at the answers. Because here's the thing, you have the answers within you. And we know that. And half the time, we know that, but we don't want to put pen to paper and actually say it, because even the idea of saying it out loud feels so unattainable that we'd rather just keep it all inside. And again, another thing to look at. I mean, I could go on about this stuff forever. And if you've worked with me, you know I'm long-winded. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to stop, because I'm spewing out information now, and I just want to keep this, although I've gone into more complex stuff, but keep it simple, and ask you to look at those few things that we've talked about. Maybe watch this video again. This message is for someone in here. I follow my intuition always. And tonight I asked my intuition what I felt the group needed to hear, what certain members of the group needed to hear. And these few things that we talked about came up so strongly. And so for whoever out there is watching this video, this is meant for you. And this is meant for you to watch again and think about and write down and process and really examine the you that you don't know yet. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go and give my kids their bedtime snack and tuck them into bed. But for whoever is on here, hello. If you're watching the replay, hello. I love that you guys take the time to watch these. If you want to get to know me more, join the mindset course. I'm thinking about running one. I think there's 4 more spots available, and if 10 people join, I'll run the mindset course. I was thinking the 3rd week of August, but I think I'll do it the last week of August, if that works for everyone. And it's a great opportunity to see how I work with all of this stuff and this mindset stuff, and mindset specific to health and the symptoms that you have. Sometimes it's a matter of being able to live with the symptoms that you have. Sometimes it's a matter of what are triggering symptoms that you have. Sometimes it's a matter of what are triggering new symptoms to get worse, and what around you is setting that off within you and triggering the paralyzed state, and truly understanding that. If you've been following me, you know that my forte and my huge passion is education. And here's the thing, I believe, and I was actually saying this a couple times again this week, that, you know, and I've said it before, that I believe in my work is a trickle effect, because the best part is that women that I work with will share this knowledge and they will train their children with this knowledge. And what was missing for all of us is children, as training as children, to know that there were certain characteristics that make people truly empathetic, and that it doesn't mean that something was ever wrong with you even as a child, but that things were probably stuffed, ignored, or not treated properly because there was that lack of understanding of the sensitive type, child, adult, empathetic to a higher degree. And there is just now coming to the surface much more understanding. And there's so many books out there there's many that are called The Gifted Adult, or that type of title, touching on now the type of people that I work with, the type of woman that you likely are, and that ability to pick up on other people's emotions, that ability to know that there's a higher purpose, that the ability to, and not to say that, you know, all people have these abilities, there's a heightened awareness, right? Like some people have a stronger sense of smell, some people have a stronger sense of touch, and a lot of the times with empaths, there's a higher sense in every area, and that as a child is so overwhelming. So what happens is they get diagnosed with ADHD or depression or anxiety. I'm not saying those things don't exist by any means, but that tends to be what can happen. Or, you know, they just don't pay attention, or they don't stay inside the box, so therefore they must be disobeying, or there's something wrong with them. And now I'm totally off track. But ladies, if you want to join the mindset course, if you want to learn more about how your past, not diving into the past, but how the past may be triggering certain things that are going on in your present, and are likely triggering things that are going on in your present, and how to be able to recognize that, and how your health is therefore being affected because of those different things, then join the mindset course. If you want to know more about it, send me an email. It's tammyseedhealth@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you. If you haven't made any comments in the group and you're new, say hi, introduce yourself. I would love to get you to know you more. This group is a super safe place. I am super protective of this group. I follow my intuition when I accept people that have opted in to join the group, and it's a safe place with really only 2 rules of keeping it positive, even though we're dealing with health struggles, and don't sell anything, because I don't believe in that, the one size fits all. And it's not that I don't like what you're doing, I just don't want that in this space. Have a wonderful night, ladies. I appreciate all of you so much, and I wish you a absolutely wonderful evening. Talk soon.